Now we're looking at the steps of glycolysis. How do we obtain energy in glycolysis? Remember, glycolysis, we have energy being invested. An investment plan must always take place so that we can yield more energy. So during glycolysis, we have about 10 steps. There are mainly 10 steps that are in glycolysis, but with further steps, those 10 steps can be divided into two major phases. That is the preparatory phase, in which glucose is activated. You can call it the glucose activation phase. Remember, glucose itself is very stable. It is a stable molecule that it is considered to be unreactive or less reactive. So for us to make it highly reactive, we must activate it, or it must be activated by addition of another molecule which is going to make it totally unstable. So when you are unstable, you become highly reactive. For example, when you are very hungry, you are going to become unstable. What is making you unstable? Because of hunger. If someone annoys you, you become unstable because of someone who has annoyed you. So there is something which has been linked to you being annoyed. So it is what is making you totally unstable. So in stages 1 up to 4, labeled below 1, 2, 3, 4, we are going to see that in those stages, that is where glucose is activated. What is activating it? You are going to see. So in the second phase, we're having 5 up to 10. We're having energy extraction phase. Remember, in the glucose activation phase, we are having investment of energy. We're having investment of energy, and then in the payoff phase, we're having extraction of energy. Remember, when you are going to work, you always invest by maybe investing in transport. You can get transport, you get a border, you get a taxi, you get what, and then you go to work. So the money you have given to the border man or whatever, that is an investment you have made, an early investment before going to work. So even in the preparatory stage, as you are going to work, you prepare yourself. So you prepare yourself, you activate yourself, maybe by taking a breakfast. So as you are going, you invest some money. Investing some money, expecting some good outcome. In the extraction, as you are getting maybe the payment back during the day, at the end of the day. So we are going to see that in the energy extraction phase, we are having some profits being gained. So at the end of the day, what have you gained? For example, if I'm earning 20,000 a day, in the morning maybe I'll use like 5,000 for transport. Then at the end of the day, I come up with maybe 15,000 as my net profit. So I'll subtract what I have invested in with the total amount of money maybe that I have achieved that day. So we can look at stage number 1. We're having a glucose molecule. That glucose molecule is totally unreactive. So since it is totally unstable, we are going to make it unstable because it was highly stable. So how do we make it unstable? By adding a phosphate group, by using ATP. ATP is adenosine triphosphate. We remove one phosphate group, we add it to the glucose molecule, so that we remain with ADP, 2 phosphate molecules, and then we're having adenosine diphosphate. That when you form glucose 6-phosphate is having only 1 phosphate molecule, and then it is highly active. So hexokinase is an enzyme which is going to be involved there, and the process is going to be phosphorylation. Phosphorylation, we are adding a phosphate group. That is how you can talk about that. So glucose 6-phosphate is unstable. But now isomerization takes place so that we can change the structure to fructose 6-phosphate. Why is it called glucose 6-phosphate? Because the phosphate molecule is attached on carbon atom number 6 of the glucose molecule. So isomerization takes place, of which the phosphate molecule maintains the position of the carbon where it is attached to, and then we are just changing from glucose to fructose, of which the same number of carbon atoms. So remember, glucose is an isomer of fructose. These are just isomers. So when you change to this, the molecular formula will remain the same, but the structure will just change. So in stage number 3, so in stage 1 and stage 3, we're having energy being invested, so that in future or later on, we're going to have maybe more energy extracted, so that we can see what was invested, what was extracted, and then we subtracted. We have some profit, we can call it the net. So we're having fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. Fructose 1,6-bisphosphate implies that carbon number 1 and carbon number 6, they have a phosphate group. So the more the phosphate groups, the higher the unstable that molecule is going to become. So fructose 1,6-bisphosphate is more unstable than fructose 6-phosphate. Why? Because it has more phosphate groups. So I guess we are together there. So as we are going to stage number 4, we are having fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. We are going to have cleavage or splitting. So we're having cleavage. Cleavage, in simple terms, you can call it breaking down or splitting of the fructose 1,6-bisphosphate into two molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate. Now, at this stage, what is needed into the next phase? That is the pale phase.